Maestro Greenaway, nelle sue opere...
So in your works, water plays without a script. Is it true? You can say.
Well, it is self-evidently that water is incredibly photogenic. Whether it's snow, ice, tears, rivers, the ocean, you can always depend on getting a good picture. Very volatile, very atmospheric, very colorful. And I think initially, probably, this was not a very self-conscious thing, but I lived in England. England, as you know, is an island, totally surrounded by water. I now live in Holland, and there's even more water in Holland than there is in England. So I think, let me suggest, first of all, unself-consciously, but then self-consciously, I realized indeed that water is always a good subject matter. And also it's, a very great servant, but also terrifying master. You can drown in water. And a lot of my films, I think, are about drowning. I think both in a realistic sense, but also in a metaphorical sense.
Dalla fotogenia, quindi...
So there's a very short gap from water itself, from its photogenic aspect, to making a splash.
Yes, you probably know David Hockney had a great interest in the swimming pools in South America. Not South America, the south of, in south of North America, so in California. And I think there's a gentle sort of reference to that sort of particular background. It's also very true and very obvious that people take their clothes off when they go swimming, which gives me an opportunity to examine the whole situation of human anatomy. So again, it's an excuse to get people to take their clothes off.
Per un regista, un maestro regista...
So how does it feel for a director like you, who used the metaphor of the maze in your movies, to be in a place, in such a place, such an evocative place like that? How does it feel to...
Well, ever since I was an art student in London in the late 1960s, I've certainly always had a good look at the FMR magazine, so I'm very, very familiar with it. And of course that magazine has been existing for a very, very long time, before this place was ever built. But then I think about 2 years ago, we put on an opera at the Farnese Theatre, not so very far away from here in Parma. And I'd always wanted to be able to use that place, indeed, as a scenario for a film very much based, I suppose, on 15th century, 16th century Italian painting. And I became very, very familiar with it because we worked there for, I suppose, maybe about 8 weeks. And of course, realizing this place was of significance in the area, I came to visit here. So I became somewhat familiar with it, and certainly deliberately got lost in the maze like everybody else does. So that was my introduction, in a sense, to this venue.